In today's Leeds news, Slovenian media say ignore Bijol link. Wilson speaks on his failed Leeds move. Carragher rolls back on his Leeds United criticism. And today's rumour mill stories on Martin Baturina, Harry Wilson and Ruben Vargas. Morning folks, welcome back to the Leeds View Tuesday the 23rd of December with your Leeds United news. Again, just a quick reminder, no news out on Christmas Day or Boxing Day, Stevens' Day over here, but we will be back for the game against Sunderland at the weekend. We'll try and get a preview out to you on Saturday leading into that, and then over on bigup.com for the watch along against Sunderland on Sunday, and then back on YouTube for the instant match reaction afterwards as well. But you can head over to bigup.com and sign up there. It's free to join, no adverts either if you want to take part in the watch-alongs. A bit of stuff to get stuck into today, so we won't hang around too much, but I do want to say thank you to everybody that has supported the channel this year and wish you all a very happy and Merry Christmas and a great New Year as well. It's been a hell of a year for the Leeds View. We've grown a little bit. We've had a successful year in terms of awards as well as exposure, so a massive thank you to absolutely everybody who has watched, commented, subscribed and liked the content this year. Fingers crossed for bigger things coming in the next 12 months as well. But let's crack on and get stuck into the news. And we'll start off with a story around Yaka Bijol. It's not often you get a media outlet playing down a story around a January transfer window, let alone completely dismissing it. But the Slovenian media have given Leeds fans a chance to relax a little bit coming into the Christmas period after a story emerged from Spain yesterday claiming that Atletico Madrid would be interested in buying Yaka Bijol. And they've now come out and said, not the case. Bijol has been fantastic for Leeds United so far this season, specifically since the change to a back three for Leeds, not just from a defensive perspective, but also from an attacking perspective. Utilising Leeds United's attacking with Ethan Ampadu's long throws, Bijol has caused huge disruption in the penalty area with an assist and a goal in his last few matches. And he was a priority signing for Leeds United in the summer, and we're starting to see why Leeds were so keen to get him in. But since the change of system, he's kept the likes of Erling Haaland, Jean-Philippe Mateta and Thiago incredibly quiet, and that's three of the best strikers in the Premier League this season. But the report from Spain claimed that Atletico Madrid would be interested in bringing the centre-back in January, and they saw him as a direct replacement for Clement Longley. And the story did originate from a very reliable source in Mateo Moreta. However, Slovenian media Equipa, who speak regularly to Yaka Bijol when he's on international duty, have completely rubbished this story and described it as complete nonsense. The report initially claimed that Atletico Madrid would consider giving Leeds United £26 million for Yaka Bijol, which would give Leeds a significant PSR profit, specifically now looking at the January window when Leeds might want to do some business. But thankfully now media closer to Bijol have said that's not the case. There's no truth in this story. He's not going anywhere and he's only getting started at Leeds United. The more he settles to life at Leeds and gets used to the Premier League, we'll see more and more from him. But it's important that Leeds keep that back three formation for him at least now. He is fantastic in that system for Slovenia. He made his name in Italy at Udinese playing in that system, and he has gone from strength to strength for Leeds also playing in that system. So long may that continue. Let's move on and talk about Harry Wilson. One of the pieces left on the table during the January transfer window was Harry Wilson, whose move to Leeds United collapsed on deadline day, and it depends on who you believe and who you listen to. On this one, Leeds claim that they put a deal sheet into the Premier League to try and extend the time to get a deal done for Harry Wilson after positive talks with Fulham. They had a plane on the ground ready to bring Wilson to Leeds. Fulham, however, on the other side, maintained that they told Leeds United at 4 p.m. the player wasn't for sale and wasn't going anywhere. Either way, the deal never happened. Daniel Farke never got the left-footed right winger that he really wanted during the summer, and since then Harry Wilson's gone on to have probably the season of his career so far. He's got 5 goals and 3 assists in 13 Premier League appearances for Fulham this season. Wilson has spoke to Sky Sports recently, and he was as much in the dark about the entire situation as Leeds United fans, and he now has a new contract offer on the table with Fulham, but at the time of recording he hasn't signed it just yet. But he has now been speaking to Sky about what happened, and he said this: it was going to happen, then it wasn't going to happen, then it was back on, then it was off. It wasn't a certain few days or 24 hours. I didn't know where I was going to be. It was a bit of a relief when the window finally closed and I could concentrate on football. I am fully focused on playing. I play football because I love the game, and wherever I am, it's got to be somewhere I'm going to play. As I say, Wilson has got a new contract offer on the table from Fulham. Marco Silva is very confident that he will sign it, but as of yet, he hasn't signed it. And the Yorkshire Evening Post say that Leeds United still have interest in Harry Wilson and could offer him a better deal if he is open to discussions. But there's more on that when we get to the rumour mill section around potential moves for Harry Wilson. But the likelihood is, from a Fulham perspective, they believe he will sign the contract. But Wilson's, at the moment, keeping his options very firmly open, and we'll see what happens later on. But we do have some more news on that. We'll get to that in the back end of the video during the rumour mill section. But for now, we'll move on and talk about Jamie Carragher's opinion on Leeds yet again. Last month, Jamie Carragher didn't believe that Leeds United had the players or quality to stay in the Premier League, but he's now rolled back just a little bit and believes that Leeds United have struck fear into their Premier League rivals. Leeds' unbeaten run has now changed a lot of pundits' takes on Leeds' survival chances. Although they have changed those opinions, those performances will need to continue, and the style and approach to the game more so moving forward. But it's given Leeds United a really strong chance. Carragher says that he never felt like the likes of West Ham United could get relegated this season, but he feels that some clubs, including the Hammers, are now worried about what Leeds United are bringing to the table. And speaking on Sky Sports, Carragher said the following: I think Leeds have put real fear not just into the teams below them, but a few above them as well. I think for West Ham, I never felt that they could go down, but I still think that they will be okay because they will attack the January window. I think Leeds must be really worrying West Ham more than anyone else in the Premier League this season. It's not just West Ham. Leeds have dragged a couple of clubs above them very much into the mix as well. They're only a few points off Bournemouth, Brentford as well, and only 5 points off 10th place Everton. Not saying that Leeds will head up the table towards 10th, but it's very possible over the Christmas period if results don't go sideways. Leeds could drag a few more sides back into it, but Leeds, as I say, will need to continue the disruptive nature of how they're approaching games this season and make it uncomfortable for sides, especially those who visit Elland Road. Manchester United are the next side up to visit Elland Road, and they'll come minus Bruno Fernandes and Mbeumo. So Leeds will have a chance there and could make it very uncomfortable for them in what's been a very stop-starty type of season yet again for them. Sunderland are next up for Leeds away from home, and we'll need to improve our away record, but they could be missing anything between 7 and 9 players because of injuries, suspensions, and the African Cup of Nations as well. So Leeds have got a really good opportunity in the next couple of weeks to continue to surprise pundits like that man Jamie Carragher right there. But we will move on and we'll get into the rumour mill section. There's a few stories today, and as always, take this with a pinch of salt and a hefty level of scepticism until anything more major comes out. We'll start off with Martin Baturina. So the Como attacking midfielder was linked with a move to Leeds United earlier this month, and at the time, reports in Italy said that Como had no intention of selling the 22-year-old attacking midfielder who they had just purchased from Zagreb in the summer. Baturina has though only started 2 games this season for Como, and according to Fabrizio Romano, Leeds United are still very much interested in the player. Now, the obvious issue here is a transfer fee for Baturina with Leeds' PSR situation in January. A fee of anything between 15 to 20 million pounds would be needed for him, and it makes it more likely that Leeds would make a summer move for the player should they still be in the Premier League come the end of the season. The Croatian midfielder has had some excellent form and performances while at Dynamo Zagreb. That caught the attention of Como, who brought him in, but he hasn't really settled to life in Italy just yet. Now, it's a big step to go from Como to Beeston, so there'll be a settling in period there if Leeds even were to make a move for him at that point. I am joking, obviously, of course, on that one, but there's always the possibility that Leeds could look at a loan option in January to get the player minutes, and maybe also include an obligation or an option to purchase in the summer and bring the player in on the short term and then have him for the longer term if there is said to be genuine interest in the player. And again, as I always say, I would sprinkle a little bit of salt on that one. Moving on, let's talk about Harry Wilson. We're back to this one, and David Ornstein has some updates in The Athletic on Harry Wilson. He believes that Harry Wilson won't sign a new contract at Fulham and will see out his existing contract until the end of the season to maximise his earnings and potential come the end of season. Ornstein says there are plenty of sides interested in Harry Wilson right now, Leeds being one of those sides mentioned with him. The other side to this is if Fulham get the opinion that Wilson won't sign the contract and will wind down his contract, they could be open to a sale in January if Leeds United were to put some money on the table and get something rather than nothing. A similar situation to what Leeds have with Ilan Meslier. Then it would be very much down to Harry Wilson himself, or whether he wants to accept that or not, or whether he wants to field offers from other clubs come the end of the season. But it could be a very interesting transfer window around Harry Wilson if he doesn't sign that contract at Fulham. The last story of the day relates back to Ruben Vargas, and we've a bit of an update on this one as well. According to Team Talk, Leeds are very much still in the mix for Ruben Vargas, and they claim that Leeds are one of 3 sides that are monitoring the situation and have even held talks with Sevilla and the players' representatives for what would be a cut price deal of in and around £7 million or €9 million. The 27-year-old is currently out injured and is due back in the next week or two, but does have 10 goal contributions in 24 appearances. Team Talk sources claim that he has been made available to leave by Sevilla in January, and the player himself is said to have given the green light for a potential move to the Premier League. Bournemouth, Leeds and Sunderland are the 3 clubs all named with having interest in him. He does have an interesting injury CV. Leeds have done incredibly good work in keeping players with extensive injury CVs fit. Daniel Farke has praised the Leeds United's medical team. They've all these fancy new tests, including blood tests, to make sure that the players have the right recovery levels. So it would be interesting. They're backing themselves to keep another player fit, but he can play as a left winger, a right winger, or play as a number 10 as well. So he would give Leeds United that flexibility up front that they would need, whether Leeds decide to continue with a 3-5-2 or the 3-4-3 that they played against Crystal Palace, or even then when they do shift to a 4-3-3. Vargas would give them plenty of options across that front 4 position. So it's an interesting one. Again, all rumours at this point, nothing confirmed, and won't be until the window opens, but we're very, very close to now, only a week and a bit away from the January window open, and all of the hope, and as Graham Smith said in the YP, he believes Leeds will try and get stuff done early and give themselves the best chance of attacking the second half of this season. Folks, that will be it for me this morning. We will be back with the podcast later on tonight, just to have a little look back at the weekend's action and look ahead to the Christmas period. But again, as I say, if you're not around, because it is busy at Christmas, have a fantastic Christmas, enjoy yourselves. We'll be back in the morning with the news, and then we're taking a couple of days off for Christmas this year. But have a great time, enjoy yourselves, and I'll talk to you later on. See you, bye.